we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. We shall not.
I guess the obvious, like coming to a PWI and like it being in the South, people in higher authority not really taking whatever you may go through seriously or being insensitive to. There are like some inconsistencies, like they want to promote diversity, but then at the same time, they probably won't be as understanding to your adversities or your circumstances. You know, there's always in the back of my mind, like, what if I don't really meet anyone that can actually relate to my experiences?
I feel like I would be exposed more.
Not fitting in. I'm used to being one of the few who look like me from growing up at like predominantly white high schools and elementary schools. College, I imagine, me finding my niche and finding my people and being at a PWI, I feel like, what if that doesn't happen?
First generation college student. So those are where like a lot of my fears and concerns came from. I've always found myself in groups where I was the only black person or I was the minority. Puts a lot of stress on you, and that is something that I have really dealt with internally.
I would be discriminated against because of my race and not based on my caliber as a person or a student. I would be maybe looked over for internships or research opportunities or even for getting help within my department that I chose to be in.
That I was always going to be excluded from like organizations or like anything I tried to do, especially like being in the music field. I thought like people would look down on me. I also feared that I'd become the token black guy, that I'd be the person that somebody could always be like, oh, I'm not this because I hang with him, or I could be, like I'm only accepted because I'm black and not because of what I actually bring to the table. Am I being accepted because I'm really like they actually see something in me, or is it to meet that diversity quota every now and then?
The reason why I chose USM was because of the diversity here. So I wanted to be in the classroom where there are multiple colors of people, and not just me, myself. Being a black student here, definitely you wonder, you have that in the back of your mind, if I can make it here.
Coming to the state of Mississippi, moving from Washington, D.C. was a huge shift. There's a certain narrative and stigma that is associated with the Deep South, specifically the state of Mississippi. And so coming here to then teach, particularly in the political climate that we have been in for the past couple of years, really. This is my 4th year here. I was just nervous about how I would be perceived as a young black female in the classroom, how my white students and my black students honestly would see me. Also what my political stance or ideological beliefs, how would I navigate the classroom, making sure that I'm creating a fair environment, a non-critical environment, an open and inclusive environment, and still being able to say what's right and what's wrong without offending or alienating any of my students that just have grown up in a different environment or culture than I did. When I was a student, and interestingly enough also as a professor, is how did I get there? How did I end up being able to get into a place like North Carolina State? And I think those fears only increased as a graduate student, being at the University of Georgia in the School of Mass Comm and Journalism. It was a top program. Like, how, as a young black woman, how did I get in?
We shall not be moved like a tree.